Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Reliable sources indicate that William Samoei Ruto has been pushed into a tight corner and he is in a very big dilemma. He doesn't know how to deal with Raila Odinga with his calls for demonstrations. It is revealed that when Raila Odinga first called for these demonstrations, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua thought that it was going to be a mere trivial political gimmick that would attract a few people, would go on for some hours, and then it will vanish. But the amount of pressure and the aftermath to the government that this maandamano has caused is really painful and very excruciating to State House and to the entire government. There are four things that gives Raila an impetus to continue with these demonstrations and why he will succeed and why Ruto must bow down to this pressure. William Ruto seems to have exhausted all the machinery, all the plans. Because when he wrote a letter to the international community asking the international community to stop Raila, the international community has written back and called on Raila Odinga to continue with the demonstrations in a peaceful manner. This is very painful to William Ruto because he had expected that the international community would either persuade Raila or compel him to stop his course of action. Well, number two is the gagging of the media. Remember, there was a letter from the Communications Authority of Kenya that tried to gag the media from informing Kenyans and the whole world what is happening. This has been stopped by the courts. And then there was an attempt of invasion and intrusion into private property where they banned the Uhuru's property. That has not worked. So as it is, the international community is still supporting William Ruto, but they cannot stop Raila. Raila Odinga has got these three supportive devices behind him, and this is why Ruto is going to fall down, is going to bring Ruto down. Number one is the massive support that Raila receives across the country. Remember, when Raila goes around with these calls for demonstrations, he is speaking the language of the common man. Raila is saying that the cost of living must come down. There is hunger in the country, and each and every person feels the pangs of hunger. If you are blessed that you have a job, there are people who depend on you who are jobless and they are draining you. So Raila knows very well that when you speak to a nation that is hungry, they will listen to you. If you have noticed, sometimes when Raila goes around, he doesn't even mention things to do with Chebukati. He no longer talks about it so much. Yes, they are part of the irreducible minimums, but Raila mentions the cost of living because he knows very well that those who attend those rallies are people, mostly youths who are jobless, people who can't afford even a meal in a day. So when he speaks this, even those who voted for William Samoei Ruto are saying that we are attending these demonstrations because we want the cost of living to come down. William Ruto promised it, but he's no longer working towards it. You all understand that William Ruto is making appointments recently, the chief administrative secretaries, and he did not include any hustler. He says there is no money, yet he appoints more people into offices. And Kenyans are watching, and they now feel that Raila is actually right. Even those who did not believe him at first now believe that Raila is fighting for a better cause. So this is one thing that backs Raila Odinga. Number two are the leaders that support Raila. You all know that William Samoei Ruto has tried by all means to take away Kalonzo Musyoka. But Kalonzo has remained steadfast in Azimio. In fact, people are wondering why Kalonzo has become so strong. Kalonzo has got over 2 million votes behind him. We have got people like Oparanya. We have people like Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, the whole of Azimio Brigade has remained with a strong resolution that they are going to back Raila Amolo Odinga. The government had expected that this would become a Luo affair, and they never wanted people like Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, Wajakoya to be part of it. But these leaders have continued to be with Raila Amolo Odinga through thick and thin, and this is giving the government headache. It is another device that Raila Amolo Odinga has. The other thing that Raila is using is the constitution. The Kenyan constitution backs Raila because there is that freedom of association, there is that freedom of picketing. And this is what Raila Amolo Odinga has continued to say. Even when he met the delegation from USA that was meant to either coerce or persuade him to drop these demonstrations, he told them, I am doing what is entrenched in our constitution. And because the international community would want to, masquerade as people who perpetuate democracy in Africa, they are at a dilemma because they don't know how they are going to stop Raila when whatever they're doing is entrenched in the constitution. When Raila fought for this constitution, maybe he had envisaged that there was a time would come when he would use this constitution. William Ruto has continued that we must conduct ourselves within the law, not to plunge into anarchy, even though he keeps on breaching the same law by trying to intimidate and beat innocent demonstrators. But Raila Amolo Odinga continues to remind him that what we are doing is unstoppable because it is within the law. So this is what makes William Ruto very much worried because he doesn't know what to do. You cannot be a president who says one thing and negate those very facts. So when Raila presents the constitution, he doesn't know what to do. The other thing that has become a thorn in the flesh to William Samoei Ruto as far as the demonstrations are concerned is the fact that The Hague is here with us. The ICC is this animal that we believe it is being controlled by the West, and the West is with Ruto, but they are blatant breach of the law. The police shooting anyhowly at people. There might reach a time when a few sacrifices might be made. The ICC will come because the human rights are already here, and they are looking. They are busy collecting those the scenes, the bloody scenes where the police continue to butcher people, the police continue to injure and maim people, and they will take it upon themselves to present all this to the international court. And so William Ruto, in as much as he's trying to put a broad face and talk tough and unleash terror to those who are demonstrating, one thing that restrains him is the issue of the ICC. This is why, up to date, Kithure Kindiki and Rigathi Gachagua are not reading from the same page. Kithure is a lawyer. He holds that docket, the interior docket. He was also one of the team, a team of lawyers that represented William Ruto at The Hague. So he understands the gravity of the matter. I think some of these people are telling William Ruto, you are treading on dangerous grounds, and that's why you see a division in the government. The other thing that gives Raila a lot of impetus is that the security forces is not speaking one language. It is actually divided. The only thing that happens is that these are disciplined forces and they cannot come out in the open. But if you have followed politics and you have a few of them, you understand that these people are not reading from the same page. There are those who still support Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga. There are those who support William Samoei Ruto. Some undertones go around the corner that should anything stupid happen, then they might take over leadership. They just announce that we have taken over. We urge Kenyans to be calm as we try to put things in place until normalcy resumes. So these are some of the things, ladies and gentlemen, that makes Raila have an edge over his political nemesis, William Samoei Ruto. because he knows very well that even the military and the Kenyan forces are Kenyans and they know what is happening. And then it is also believed that there is a country behind them. You know, as the USA try and handpick leaders in Africa and they force them down our throats, there are other countries that are not in line with the American policies and they are backing this. Do you remember that in the first demonstrations, Kenya, Tunisia, South Africa, or the other one was Nigeria, were conducting their demonstrations together? Do you think it was a coincidence? No. This is now a war of the superpowers. The superpower house is divided. There are those who are supporting illegitimate government, and there are those people who have decided that they are going to stand with the people. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if it is money, Raila does not lack money to go on with these demonstrations. So William Ruto must calm down. And I know a time will come when this server will be open, because it is the only key to our problems. It is the only thing that will stop this maandamano. It is the only thing that will make Kenyans understand what is happening, because at the heart of everything is this electoral justice. We want to know who won. People want the cost of living to come down. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Raila continues to be in the flesh in this government. There is a lot of confusion and bewilderment within the government. They don't know what to do, because everything that Raila does, Raila has a backing. This is my take.